Jesus Christ. Well, Colbert was never really a stand-up, so I mean, I guess he has that.
No, but I mean,
he was a comic when the Colbert Report was on. I mean, that was hilarious.
It was really good.
He was great.
Yeah,
he was great, and that show was a great takeoff of a pompous, ridiculous Republican.
Exactly.
I mean, it was really good. And then when you see this, you're like, wait a minute, what are you doing?
Right.
Suppose if in the same week, Stephen, Joe Rogan, and Megyn Kelly destroyed your whole reputation. Colbert believed he was presenting a comedy show. He was the target of public smackdowns and smug grins, it turns out. Kelly and Rogan just accused the late-night monarch of having a complete identity issue. What did he say that led to the removal? And why is Twitter eroding more quickly than his ratings? This is the Colbert roast you were unaware you needed, so fasten your seatbelt.
On Stephen Colbert last night was next level. He's so gross. He's so gross. I remember the Stephen Colbert who tried to just make us laugh, who is like kind of fun, and who, while we always knew he was leftist, didn't realize he hated the other half of the country.
America's favorite late-night lecturer, Stephen Colbert, was once a comic genius with a razor-sharp parody character and is now the spiritual mascot of smugness. He gives nightly sermons to an audience that laughs at the sound of their own moral superiority, but somehow this man went from making fun of blowhards to actually becoming one without even realizing it. That's regression with applause, not evolution.
See what happened with Colbert's audience?
No.
CNN is a joke to people in the audience. Watch this.
He knew his attack lines on President Biden, and he's not really sure how to go after Vice President Harris, 20 years younger than him, who is a different gender, a different race.
I know you guys are objective over there, that you just report the news as it is.
Is that supposed to be a lab line?
I wasn't supposed to be, but I guess it is.
The audience is like, shut the...
In some ways, Joe Rogan, the podcast host who records in a room so dark it appears as though he is about to call forth demons, has emerged as the beacon of sanity next to Colbert's cult of performative virtue. Even though Joe occasionally speaks, between lifting kettlebells and eating elk, at least he always ends his sentences with a question mark. The way that Colbert speaks is like the human personification of a time when he wants you to hear him rather than hear him.
But it is so smart. He said Colbert came up and made his name playing a loving portrayal of a sort of useful idiot, a sort of dum-dum on the right who meant well but was, a real idiot. And now he's playing a useful idiot in a very loving portrayal of the left, a real dum-dum who means well but doesn't know anything, only he doesn't realize.
That's not journalism, that's karaoke for Democrats. Megyn Kelly, who had just finished a reporting career in which she had to contend with everyone from the Trump cult to woke mobsters, remarked in response to Colbert. And she's not incorrect. When your most popular political joke every night is "Orange Man bad," delivered with the emotional range of a used car commercial, you're not speaking to authority. Instead, you're making sales.
Colbert from the show was this genius parody. Now he's just Stephen Colbert.
Right.
That's who he is.
They destroyed the essence by giving him something.
The best example of it was when Jon Stewart came on, and Jon Stewart was doing that bit about the lab leak theory. And Colbert is jumping in and stepping all over it.
Right.
And I'd like to see some evidence of that. Like, he's like fucking up the bit. Clearly, Stewart, who's a great comic, is in the middle of a bit.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
And Colbert's trying to, he's like, you can see the panic in his eyes that this is not going along with the narrative. So he's hamstringing the bit.
Right.
Which is crazy to see.
Yeah, because his whole body is like physically mortified by the idea that he's sending off the wrong signal.
We should examine the Colbert material dump. You would think that a political satirist would disparage all politicians, but that isn't the case. When Stephen filters his jokes, they go through TSA. If they make fun of someone who isn't Susan Collins, they don't pass security. His program is like having a barista reprimand you for not knowing your own pronouns quickly enough. You're not there for pleasure. You're there to get jazz hands correction. With a laugh track, the guy could convert a fart joke into a request for campaign funds. You came for comedy, but now you're stuck in a sermon. Colbert no longer tells jokes as frequently as he used to, about injustice caused by climate change and why you're not awake enough to attend his show. What a treat. In the meanwhile, Rogan, the meathead with the microphone, is able to speak with scientists, physicians, UFC competitors, thinkers, comedians, and even those who disagree with him. Gasp. Colbert's concept of a daring interview involves giving Anthony Fauci a standing ovation before he makes a single noise. When Stephen inquired whether someone's tie was a bit too purple, that was the last time he questioned their opinion.
You look at this.
There are quite a few billionaires who support you. You are from Northern California, after all, where they grow them in fields out there. Who's your favorite billionaire? Because we all have a favorite billionaire. On three. 1, 2, 3. Oprah. I'm sorry. I claimed Oprah. You can't take.
Is what happens to virtually every news personality and late night personality and host of popular shows, podcasts, etc., which is they start getting invited to parties with Jennifer Aniston, etc. And they start thinking they're finally one of the cool kids. And then they drink the Kool-Aid. It's amazing to me that he would embarrass himself that way and that they would think it's good politics to get up there being so chummy chum about how close they are with billionaires.
Joe Ryan conducts his program as if it were a curiosity-driven dialogue. You can practically hear the inner monologue, "I am a smart boy," as Colbert conducts his TED lecture, which is presented by a smug high school valedictorian who believes sarcasm can be used in place of facts. They'll clap. They always do. Megyn Kelly, who is now able to publicly criticize hypocrisy wherever it occurs, couldn't help but note that Colbert is essentially the human equivalent of Twitter virtue signaling. He frames every joke in a blanket of moral superiority, as though he's worried that the audience will believe it for themselves. She's seen White House press briefings with greater skepticism than his interviews, recalling when late night was concerning humor. Now it's therapy for urban liberals who need proof that they're superior to their Midwestern cousins, and Colbert is the therapist who interrupts your session to show you a video of Biden eating ice cream and calls it statesmanship. When Rogan wants to discuss CO, he brings in doctors, and when Colbert wants to discuss CO, he brings in dancers dressed as syringes. No, he literally turned the promotion of vaccines into a Broadway number, complete with jazz hands, sequins, and choreography that involved nasal swabbing. This wasn't satire, rather, it was a fever dream from someone who saw Rent on Must.
He's an interesting cat, man.
Yeah, he is.
He's a bunch of things rolled up into one because he's a legitimate Catholic. Like, he's really Catholic.
Yeah.
Despite all the scandals and kid and all the craziness. And then on top of that, he's this character, but now he's not the character anymore.
No. Yeah.
Now he's like a guy who's not totally playing the character, but the character comes in and out like little shadows.
Yes, it does.
And it's like, what are you? What's your real thoughts on things? Because I know you as Colbert.
Yeah.
I know you from the Colbert Report, this hilarious fake Republican guy.
Yeah.
And now I'm seeing you. I'm not sure what.
You can tell the joke was put up with 5 tweets and a CNN, since even his writers appear exhausted half the time. On a cocky trampoline, Chiron's jokes land with the elegance of a kid. The smug, ever-present smug collar wears it like cologne, thick, overpowering, and impossible to wash off. You could drop him into a vat of humility and he would still come out smirking. Every segment feels like